Hey there. Every day I am asked, how did I go from a 19 to 42-inch vertical? A lot of people have made some great jump transformations. There is no other verified case from their college coaches and stuff of a guy who tested at less than a 20-inch vertical and now has tested over a 40-inch vertical. That's me. So what did I do differently? Well, I actually did a lot of things very differently that no one else has done. So part of that question I get is some people have knee pain as well. And I had 3 knee surgeries. So I had a lifetime best 19-inch vert, and I kept running into knee problems, which kept holding me back from going higher than that. So I had about 10 years of really nasty knee pain with all kinds of different names for it, really nasty shin pains of all kinds, and like I said, 3 knee surgeries. Now I have bulletproof knees. This is a relative term, and what it means is I have 100% pain-free knees. I've been over 2 years now playing multiple times competitively, so now over 200 competitions without even a tiny twinge of any kind of knee pain. And I have 1 in a million knee ability, meaning I can actually do things with my knees in terms of how much force I put on them and be fine that definitely not more than 1 in a million people can do. So I get this question every day. How did I change my jumping and fix my knees? Well, if we look from the top, pain is gonna be the number 1 thing that holds back your jumping. And if you simply don't have the strength to fight gravity. So I came up with a system of 20 movements. These are things that either didn't exist or existed, but weren't perfected or given standards of how strong you should get or what exact form you should have. So all 20 movements I use have not been tested, but there's evidence that exists supporting why that's a good idea to do. So I took the clues that were left. I took these evidence-based clues and then turned it into a measurable system of 20 movements. That is why I don't have pain. That's why I have the potential to fight gravity. But now I'm about to show you with over 20 live reps to demonstrate everything you need to know about dunking. And this can apply to a lot of sports, but this, you never have to watch another dunking video again. And there's no video in existence on the internet that goes over many of these principles. So the first thing that can skyrocket your jumping is working all 4 plants. You have 4 different ways that you can jump. Right, left, left, right, and those are 2-foot jumps. Then off 1 foot, you have a left leg jump or a right leg jump. If you actually look at the muscles you're training, depending on which one you do, you emphasize different muscles. Your calves, tibialis, hamstrings, quads, glutes, and erectors, meaning the muscles on your back, get trained differently between sides. So if you do only a right-left jump, for example, you're only stimulating your right tibialis, but not your left. And then your right knee is bending more than your left. Your right leg is more time and attention than your left. Go ahead and talk to Connor, your dedicated dunk coach with ATG, and you'll see he's measured his quad up to 2 inches bigger on one leg than the other, not from lifting, from only using a right-left dunk. And now, look where he's jumping. This time last year, he had a couple thousand followers. When you already jump really high, but you have chronic knee pain, getting rid of the knee pain, working your opposite plant for him left, right, and your other single leg plants, plus this kind of strength training, he's added a few more inches to his vertical, over 75,000 followers, just from these simple steps. Nothing fancy, but no one is coaching those movements, and no one is coaching jump balance. So right off the bat with jump balance, you can change your muscles, and then let's talk about tendons. So when you go to do a left leg jump, you're not stimulating your right Achilles tendon at all. You're only stimulating your left Achilles tendon. You get total imbalances in these tendons as well. So muscles and tendons, you have a bunch of weak points if you haven't trained these evenly. So just by working your jump balance, that means I want you doing 2 jump sessions a week, 1 jump 2 foot, going an even amount of reps, 1 jump 1 foot, going an even amount of reps. This rebalances, this jacks up all your weak links. Now you're the sum of both parts. So now you have stronger left leg and right leg. How high could you jump if you literally stood on one leg? Not that high. Even if you hopped up into it. If you could only stand on one leg, you wouldn't get very high. So even if the other leg is your non-jumping leg, you're still the sum of both legs. And by getting your weak points up, you now have more total power. And let's not go to the next point before we cover the fact that you have more skill in a game too. You can take off in more positions. Kobe dunked in games off all 4 plants. So why shouldn't we? The next step is balancing not just your jump, but your dunk itself. You can dunk the ball with 2 hands, with your right hand, or with your left hand. First thing this does is it gives you a different challenge to your body, meaning maybe if you're used to always jumping a certain way off one foot, and now you have to do this and go not with a certain finish you're used to, but now with two hands, it might actually challenge you to jump higher. So first, there's just the different jump challenge. It challenges your body in a different way, and this is very proven in strength and plyometric training. If you can give a subtle difference to get your body out of its usual pattern, you can coax more change. So right off the bat, giving yourself this different challenge so that for all 4 of these, you have all 3 of these. That's 12 different combinations of dunks. And most players are missing a bunch of these and can jump higher and get healthier just by getting down all 12 of those. The next is flexibility. When I've measured guys on standing reach, some guys can reach as much as 2 inches higher on one arm than the other because they're all tight through the lats and the quadratus lumborum and the hip because they've only twisted certain ways on their jumps. They've only reached with certain hands. So it's actually wonderful for your flexibility. This is wonderful at preventing back injury because if one side can't stretch and now in the game you do go to stretch because you have to for a finish, a lot of guys tweak backs on spin moves and jumps on their non-dominant side. So this is actually a wonderful drill for your flexibility, having to dunk evenly with either hand. And then again, the skill, obviously in a game, Kobe was dunking left, right, or 2 hands. It simply gives you, this now gives you 12 in-game dunk options. And the guys who get the most in-game dunks, well, having more options obviously is a benefit. So the skill, not to mention just your finishing, you can jump higher at different angles, you have better ball control. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful skill. And the final part of this is which hand you reach with influences the landing. If you look in this video, you'll see that if I reach with my right hand, you're most likely to land left-right. Go ahead and watch Russell Westbrook's film and you'll see that when he dunks with the right, he usually lands left-right. So we're often told, oh, don't land one leg at a time. You have to land 2 feet, but that's not realistic. Jordan landed hundreds and hundreds of dunks in his career, one leg before the other. He was one of the few guys who sneakily, whether he knew it or not, could land left-right or right-left because he had a unique twisting baseline dunk that even though it was right-handed, he was in the air so long that instead of his left landing, his right would then land right-left. So we're already in the landing department and you can see that there's a left-right landing, a right-left landing. Now here's the thing, when you can do either of those, which really only Jordan and a few other guys did. If you look back at Derrick Rose's career, you'll see that he only jumped left, right, left leg, and if he landed, it was on 2 legs or it was left, right. So what's happening there? He does a routine hop step, which should be landed right, left. Freaks out mentally and gets into this awkward position. That was his first ACL tear. But look at this. He never went right, left, never went right leg when he was with the Bulls. I don't know about now. I watched all the film up to his knee injury. So not a single career dunk other than left, right, or left leg. That means only left heel toe. That means only left tibialis is getting stimulated. That means only left knee is really taking pressure, super imbalanced, and then same with the landing. So having the ability to comfortably land left, right, or right, left makes you a more protected player in the game. And then when you go 2 legs, now it's like crazy easy. So rather than avoiding this, which you're gonna have to do, the evidence is if you want to be one of the best players in the world, you're gonna have to land 1 leg at a time. I'm not trying to make you shy away from life. I'm trying to make you more bulletproof for life and for sports. So now when you can do that easily, now you're protected. So yeah, maybe 2 legs is better than one or the other of those in terms of health. You're not gonna be as good of a basketball player, but in terms of health, that probably is better. But the next echelon is being able to do either of those. So now what was before it is super easy. Now, even with all that, there's a couple tricks here. These are the real troubleshooters for your dunking. First is the gradient scale of dunking. If you're struggling, you only need these tips below this if you're struggling. No fail, I've never seen these last 2 tips not work to plateau bust a struggling dunker. The first is letting your arm swing come. So rather than trying to dribble up to your dunk and all that technique slows down your jump, go ahead and just go for a rim tap, but get all 12 potential rim taps. So that means all 4 jumps and all 3 options. You can then go to dunking a small ball, but don't try to do small ball dunk with 2 hands. So out of those 12 options there, you're talking about 8 options with a small ball, meaning just being able to finish all 4 of those with either hand with a small ball. All these are keeping your arm swing, so now you have more force to jump higher, so you're shocking your muscles and your tendons more, so then when you do go to a ball, you have more juice and you actually can dunk it. And then that brings me to lob and dribble. So now you're talking about with a basketball. Lob is not my specialty. I give you everything truthfully, and I didn't really use lob to get my dunking down. That's because as a basketball player, I kind of frowned upon it. Now I see it's a very valuable tool, and I have done some of this with Connor. But I'm not the guy who knows how to throw a good lob to myself and all that stuff. That is Connor, and he's here to help you with the art. Notice, I haven't really talked about technique. I haven't gotten my jumping really from technique. I've gotten it from everything here. Connor can get deeper into the art of dunking. I can help you getting all the basics in that you need, and normally the art takes care of itself. But he's like your ultimate art of dunking coach who can tell you about different angles and all that. And he can teach you how to throw a good lob. But what I teach that no other coach has taught is the dribble. So you take these 12 options, and there's actually now 24 options, because you'll see here that off 1 foot and 2 foot, there's being able to explode off a dribble very quickly without a running start. Just being able to go dribble, step, step, off 1 or 2 feet. Then there's the art, which is a different, for 2 feet, it's like an extended step where you're using almost like, I guess, centrifugal force it's called, so that you're not touching the ball until the last 2 steps. So this is one that's used in the NBA a lot. And then off 1 foot, you're using either a cupping technique to run in, keeping the ball away from the defense, allowing you to get arm swing, or you're grabbing it too and then palming it. I'm not a palmer, so you'll see in my example, it's a cupping technique. So you have dribbling right into it, being able to explode without a big start. Well, that challenges your muscles in certain ways, but then the faster running start, now that's gonna stimulate your muscles and definitely your tendons in certain ways. So being able to go quickly into it immediately off 1 dribble, or being able to put down a dribble and run into it, gives you 2 options, which are a different kind of challenge. So you're taking all 12 options, and now it's 24 options. So when I practice, your basis is 1 day 1 foot, 1 day 2 foot, and you have 12 options of each. And working those 12, not more than about 20 total reps. So if you could just dunk all 12, that would be a good workout, but I'll tend to get some extra reps on ones that are weaker, or again, if you have one you can't do, what do? You work back down the gradient. So you could take, say you're working on 1 foot and you can dunk off your left leg, but not your right. All right, well, you work your dribble off the left, everything's balanced. So say you went dribble right into a 1 foot dunk off the left. Well, then you could go dodgeball and you could just get a dunk off the right. So you're working, you can't fail if you're working these things in perfect ratio on a gradient scale. And then the last tip here, and just the last thing before I forget, skill, baby, skill. In an actual game, when you now have 24 dunks, when you can run in fast to a dunk, when you don't need a big start into a dunk, I mean, off either leg, it's just unbelievable how much better of a basketball player you're gonna become by working your jump. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. You get better at basketball. Notice, did I mention anything about plyometrics? I have not found that plyometrics are necessary to get all the gains. When I've tried to do the dunking that we're talking about here and plyometrics, I don't get as much gain as just doing the dunking. But I have found that for someone who spends some time on this, you could mix things up by skipping a dunk workout or 2 or a couple weeks or whatever, and doing one of my plyometric workouts. I have, a very specific way that I do plyometrics. So one or the other, dunking or plyometrics, but dunking is senior because of this skill. I would only throw in the plyos for someone, who doesn't have access to a court that day, or, like you're just trying to break up the monotony. You could mix it up. I'm just giving you the data. You don't need plyos. And when I've tried to do plyos and this, you actually don't get as much gains as just doing this. This is all you need. This is how I've made my progress. But I have seen that if I'm working this, take a break to do some plyos, come back to this, I will have often made just as much progress as if I would have kept doing this. So it can break up the monotony. Might as well know it. It also lets you know how to train someone who's not a basketball player, because I don't think all this is worth the time if you're not a basketball player. So the final thing that I see, the heel kick. First off, heel kick is necessary for distance. In the history of long jump and triple jump, no one has ever competed without the heel kick. Heel kick on a 1 foot jump is what creates distance. It's also on a 2-foot jump, helps assist distance, and for a lot of guys, it just gets you to use your full power, your hamstrings, your glutes. It gets you to use all that into a jump. So that's why for plateau busting, it allows you on a 1-foot jump to put more, to trust your hamstrings with more force. You get more distance, which puts more force now through all the tendons and muscles. Same with 2-foot. So you will see no one in the history of basketball has dunked from the foul line without heel kick. So whether you like it or not, for full power and distance, the heel kick is necessary. And skill, baby, that means more finishing and in-game dunking. If you can, a big reason guys can dunk but don't do it in the game is because they don't have the heel kick. So when they get their opportunity, they're not quite close enough to the rim, they can't run in fast enough, they can't attack a defender and go at him to dunk on them. So the heel kick is the final part. And when someone starts this and struggles with it, what's the number one thing? Work on the freaking heel kick. You have to practice. I've never seen someone just, oh wow, the heel kick, and then no, like it takes some practice, and then but it creates adaptation because you're putting more force in. And yeah, you may have to ditch the ball. You may have to go down to a touch or to a dodgeball to actually be able to focus and get the heel kick in. So now you know everything I know about dunking. The only little snippet I would say is that once you have these 24 down, there are some other cool little dunks that can happen in a game. So those will be separate videos, but in no way are those necessary to everything that's gotten me these results so far. So this is everything. Only once you have all 24 of these down should you even be worrying about more complex dunks, in my opinion. I thank you for watching. I tried to do this all in one video, so you don't have to go back and forth to different videos, and just feel free to keep watching and studying this video as many times as you need. Much love, I'm out.